Oh, you're in your office, I forgot.
Hi, welcome to Fontes Insider. I'm Kim Bassett. I am your host, and I am so excited to be here today. Um, as business owners and people who are working in businesses, there's a lot of leadership, and there are programs out there. There's books, there's courses, there's everything about leadership, and I have been involved in that since I was very, very young. So today's guest, we're going to be talking about leadership. And our guest today says a leader is someone who inspires others to be their best, to take chances and to excel in their chosen endeavors. A leader is willing to take responsibility and who remains accountable regardless of their challenges and outcomes. I'm going to introduce you to our guest today. Today on Fontes Insider, joining us from Phoenix, Arizona, is Joseph Rosales. This business performance expert has a rich background in high-performance leadership from 30 years of working with many diverse industry leaders in 29 countries. Joseph is a speaker, author, and has a podcast, Business in the New Normal. Married to the woman of his dreams, their son is now following in his father's footsteps. When not working with clients, he loves being active in the outdoors. Welcome to Fontes Insider, Joseph. Well, and we have another person with us today. My partner in crime at Fontes is my brother Damon. And Joseph, welcome to Fontes Insider.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you are one. Oh, before I start though, I see some people are watching. If you would like to comment or anything, we love having that interaction, asking Joseph any questions. But to be able to see those comments, if you will click on this StreamYard at the top, then people can, we can see your comments and we can have that interaction with Joseph, because we really do love that. So to get started, we're going to talk about leadership today. And Joseph, this book is incredible, The Leader of You. And it really goes along with my philosophy on leadership, because when I've had lots of different leadership opportunities throughout my lifetime, and to be a leader, I really have discovered that you have to be able to know how to lead yourself first.
Amen, sister. Because I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people who are in charge, who own the company, who may be the boss, but they're not leading. They're bossing. And there's a huge difference between a manager and a leader. And I was doing a class this morning. I have people in about 19 countries that were on this call. And we were talking about leadership. And we're talking about those areas of leadership that people struggle with, whether it's delegation, whether it's communication, whether it's sharing the vision. Do they even have a vision? And there's so many components in leadership. When I wrote this book, I wanted to write something very small, very, very quick. You could read it in a day, two maybe. It's 38 pages, and people, what can you talk about in leadership for 38 pages? But you've read the book, you know that it's packed full of details.
Yeah, I think really any leader in any business, in any industry, get a hold of this book, get it in your hands. It's easy, it's simple, but it is chock full of information. Yeah. It is phenomenal.
Thank you. It took a lot of thought and development to get it to be succinct and powerful, but yet an easy read and relevant. And you could take this book. By the way, people can get the book at theleaderofyou.com. It's pretty simple, theleaderofyou.com. And you can use this book to train your people. You don't need a curriculum. You need the concepts. You need the ideas. You need the flow. And as you mentioned, I believe in our pre-show conversation, we're going to talk about reflection. We're going to talk about blind spots, and we're going to talk about perspectives. And those three things, we all function. We all do our actions. We all lead based on how we perceive things, how we see things. in the book, and this morning in one of my programs, we were talking about the idea of making a time to daily, weekly to reflect on how things are going. Is it working? Is it not working? And you don't just keep doing what doesn't work. Keep doing the same thing over and over that's not producing the results you're looking for is insanity, right?
Sanity, yeah.
But if you see something's not working or it's not getting the results you're looking for, or the people aren't motivated or don't see the vision, then you need to stop and look at that and say, gee, what could I do differently as the leader? Because it all falls on you, which is good. It all falls on you to make sure you have a vision. You're sharing that vision. You're leading with passion. You're leading with integrity. You're leading with honesty. You're leading with clarity. So many things we talk about in the book. And there's actually a chapter in there called Leadership Essentials. It's 21 leadership essentials. And you can look at those, and there's probably 121 actually, but we just talked about the 21 that really most people struggle with. And clarity is one of them. How can you lead people without clarity?
Mm-hmm. No,
If
that
you're
is
not clear, yeah.
Yeah, it's critical. So Damon, in his past life, he was a CIO and was in charge of huge teams as well. So Damon, kind of share with them a little bit of your experience with that.
Well, Joseph, I think we've talked about this before, but yeah, leading large teams. I mean, and I guess we'll get into it too. But as far as blind spots, that's what I was the most concerned about is what I don't know,
Mhm.
and also my own like flaws because I was always great at building strong teams, but I was always not quick to fire somebody who needed to be off the team. So that was one of my blind spots that continue to impact me from time to time. But as far as building a team, the leadership is important. And I was thinking about being in a small business versus a large business. Large businesses, there's a lot of training and education available to a lot of leadership teams. But when you're a small, medium-sized business, or you're organically growing yourself from just a concept or idea, I don't know how they get to the point of even comprehending what their blind spot might be, or even what leadership means.
Yeah.
And so,
It's interesting, Damon, and thank you for sharing that because I say in the book, and I say it all the time on programs that I'm on and teaching that I do. We all have blind spots. Like it, don't like it, we all have them. We have them in our cars and we have them in our lives. And the ones in our car, you can identify. You can go in your car today and you can look in that rear quarter panel and you'll see that blind spot. Or maybe your blind spot is up near your front end of your car, depending on the car you're driving, where the mirrors are. But you have blind spots. You probably have at least 4. And that's just in a small, 16 by 4 or 5 foot wide big car. And when you think about that, there are ways to mitigate those blind spots. And I was sharing with Kim last time we were talking that most people have their mirror not properly adjusted on the passenger side. They have the mirror reflecting the same view as they see from their rearview mirror. But if you take that mirror and you turn it out farther, so you actually are identifying that blind spot, now you've gotten a complete 360-degree view around your car because your mirrors are touching all the blind spots. But most people don't do that. And in life, we don't do that. In business, we don't do that. We live with our blind spots. We accept them as part of our, limited vision. And that's a problem because if you can't identify your blind spots, you can't work on them. And it's the blind spots where we make our mistakes. It's our blind spot that gets us into accidents. It's our blind spots that cause us to do or say something to someone in a way that is demoralizing, demeaning, demotivating, insulting, whatever it is. And one of those blind spots, I see this one all the time: condescending talk.
Really?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I told you that before. Or whatever condescending tone we use. How condescending is that? Nobody likes to be spoken to that way. Yet we sometimes do it because we're frustrated, or we're kind of, trying to give them a jab to move them. And that is not the way to communicate with people. That's not the way. But if you don't know you do that, you're going to keep doing that, and you're going to wonder why people don't respond in the way you would like them to respond to, because you're not even aware you're doing it. So blind spots we talk about in the book, you really need to be reflective, and you need to ask other people, hey, I'm trying to get better at being a leader. what one or two, three things do you see me do that maybe I could do differently that would maybe help me be an even more effective leader? And if you ask the right people, usually you'll get an answer that maybe you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's
Right?
a little too sensitive or revealing, but you have to take that input in a positive way and say, thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing that. Because it's hard for people to do that, especially if you're their boss, because you may fire them if you get mad. So
Yep.
you have to
Yeah.
be opposite of that. You have to be thankful. You have to say, thank you so much for sharing that. I know it wasn't easy. And so there's so many ways to have that conversation, but in the end, we need to understand what our blind spots are if we really want to strengthen our overall approach as a leader.
Reflection, I think, is a skill that has to be developed. And what are a system? Because I know you are I've learned so much from you, right? Because you're you're very process oriented, and I'm trying to get more so that way. So, what are some systems that help a person to become reflective? Because that's a hard one.
It's harder than blind spots because it requires you to be transparent with yourself. It requires you to really stop and think, whenever something happens that isn't positive, whether you're in a negative discussion with somebody doesn't respond to your input properly or something, we need to train ourselves to always look here first. Always look here first. Could I have said that differently? Could I have said that at a different time? Could I have maybe said that one-on-one instead of in front of a bunch of people? Could I personally, me, Joseph Rosales, could I have done something different to make the outcome different? Because if you don't ask that question, then you're going to always put it on, it's not their fault because, you're too sensitive or whatever that is. And so reflection is such an incredibly important tool for any leader. And, in the front of the book, by the way, if you look at there it is, the dedication is
The book for all who lead.
this.
I love that.
This book is for all who lead, and I don't care if you're leading a family, a sports team, a business team, your friends, yourself. This book is for you because we all lead, whether we like to think we do or don't. You may think you're a follower, but you're leading somebody.
Yes.
You may not be a leader at work, but you're a leader. You may be a leader at home, or maybe you should be a leader at home, or at least a leader of yourself. And it's funny because some of these things are innate. I mean, I grew up a leader. I was always the leader of my friends. They always ask me, so what should we go do? What do you think? And people are always asking me, my neighbors ask me for advice because they always know I'm going to share with them in a way that makes sense. So I'm a leader. But it's interesting, in the book we talk about 85% of leaders surveyed indicate that they were not a natural leader. They learned leadership. So leadership, high level effective leadership, is a learned skill, not an innate trait. Some are natural leaders. We know them. Some are just natural leaders. But more people, the vast majority of people, have learned to become more effective leaders simply by making it an important part of their life.
Well, I think I think you made good, an important point. When you talked about, you could be born a leader, but you still need skills, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You still need the skill set and tools that you could use that make you a better leader.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that's, unfortunately, is life experience, right? That's where a lot of that comes from. But I think the reflection, I think that's an important thing, because I don't think meditation or reflection is something that's really common.
Yeah. One of the things that we talk about in some of our leadership classes and courses that we teach, many people assume, and just what you said, that, it comes from life experience, and it does. But it's a dangerous thing to assume that because we're living our life on a day-to-day basis that we're going to become effective leaders. We're not. Because, have you ever heard treat others like you'd like to be treated.
Yes.
Yep.
Have you ever heard treat people like you would treat your mother?
Well, no.
Well, I've heard that. Treat people like you would treat your mother, with kindness and love and care.
Yeah.
You ever seen the way some people treat their mother? Not too good. Some people don't know how they want to be treated. So how do you use that as a template or as a base plate to say how you should treat others? In customer service businesses, treat your customers like you'd like to be treated. You know what? Some people working for you don't have a very high standard for how they would like to be treated. So you can't use that as the template that you build your customer service programs from. We believe you have a standard that's tried and true across many industries, and that's how you do it. From the greeting to the smile to the way you answer questions to the way you prompt questions, all the things that happen in a customer service experience, regardless of the product or service, can be easily crafted and optimized, and make sure that people practice them so they become proficient at doing them the way it was designed. You know, I do a lot of work with the E-Myth. I became a fan of Michael Gerber's back in 1994 when I first met him in Las Vegas, as a matter of fact. And since then, I've integrated so many of the things that he does in his practice and in his, I think 26 books and 10 million copies sold, that help people understand how to be more systematic, more process driven. And he says in all of his materials, systems run businesses, people run systems. People bring a life to those systems. People make that greeting that is a script sound not like a script. Sound like, wow, that person really is interested in what I need, because you bring your character to it. So when you talk about things like leadership, I believe that everyone who wants to, and I mean everyone, literally everyone who wants to, can become an even more effective leader. And you may think you're an effective leader right now, but you could be even more effective. Our friend Bill Walsh, who is in common to all of us, uses that word often. You can be even more successful, even happier, even healthier, even a better leader. All of us can be even better. 100%.
100% every day, right? And that's how we, if you have that attitude of living your life. Am I echoing?
No, not on me.
I feel like I am. Okay. But yeah, I think we can be, every day we need to be practicing to be better. And I love how you use the word practice, right? Because that is one of my words as well. Because if you want to be good at anything, you have to practice. If you learn something and you think you're going to go out and do it tomorrow and people are going to be responsive, no. Because if you've been because there's so many different types of leaders out there, and you talk about that in your book, right?
Yeah, Kim, it's you got me on a roll with practice now. Because I'm gonna tell you that is one of the weaknesses we see in almost every business. They show up to game day every day, open the doors, turn on the computers, do whatever, and they go. They don't practice. They just do it live. What professional sports team, what professional athlete, what college level athlete doesn't actually practice more than they play? And they practice under conditions where they are testing things and making mistakes and seeing how I can turn that better, how I can make that better, how I can move my elbow in on those free throws, how I can swing that bat just a little bit more level, how I can read that ball and read the seam so I can hit that ball. It's amazing how many things we need to practice in business, but we don't practice in business because we go live every day. There is no practice.
Right. And so I've been doing this show, right, for a few months now. And I go into a little place and practice. I literally practice doing the show because I want to get better. I look to the greats, the Larry Kings that had done it for 40 plus years, right? And so I gain that, and then I take something I like about something, and then I go and I practice it, right? It's just not coming and showing up, right? You have to show up, but with intention.
Yeah. Practice is something that if more businesses would practice their process for the purpose of optimizing their performance and optimizing the practice and making sure that they're even overcoming objections. We for years we did a lot of sales related training, And one of the most important exercises we would do we would come up with the company's top 10 objections that their customers have. And we would optimize the response to those objections. And then we
Wow.
would then take and have each person practice them in a role play situation to get very good at, and comfortable at, at delivering the optimized response, including all the words, because words are powerful.
Hmm.
You know, I was telling somebody yesterday on a show I was on, and we were talking about the power of words. And I said, you know, for those of you who are married, whether it's your husband or your wife, if you're going on a special date and or just anywhere, and he or she comes out and they look amazing, and you don't say anything, okay, I get that you didn't say anything. But what if that person wants the compliment? They say, "So, what do you think? How do I look?" And you say, "Fine." That is the wrong word.
Yes, it is.
What you meant was you look amazing, you look great, you look awesome, you look incredible. I love that color on you. Any number of things you could have said other than fine, because fine means okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm telling you, you just changed the course of your date night by saying you look fine. Now you could say you look fine. Different tone. I get it. And
Yes.
you use the right words. So see, tone is important. Words are important. Delivery is important. When you say things is important. There's so many things in business that it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, when you say it, that makes a difference and makes that person get what you really meant. But you have to say what you really meant. There's a whole chapter in here about the language of a leader. And a leader uses inclusive language like us and we, not I or you. You need to do this. I need you to do this. No, it's not that language. It's us. It's we. It's inclusive. It builds and supports that what is called esprit de corps, the spirit of the team. And so
Yes.
all of those things are in our control as leaders. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so one of the, let me make sure I have, one of the things I also love about you too in your book is, and I've started using this with my family is I get to.
Hmm.
So tell us a story about that.
It's probably the only story that I told in the book. A lot of it's just verbiage and phrases and statements and clarifications, but I told the story about my get to moment in my life was when my son was 5 years old. He's 23 now. He's finishing his senior year at ASU. He's doing amazing in his business. He's an incredible young man. We're amazingly proud of him, beyond proud of him. We love this guy. And when he was 5 years old, I was getting ready to leave my office, and we lived in New Jersey at the time, and I was going to take him to practice. And it was a beautiful afternoon. He was 5 years old. He was learning to play soccer. I get to go watch him play soccer and hang out with him for the afternoon. Well, I was leaving the office, and I went to my office manager. I said, "Hey, Kathy, I have to go take Taylor to practice." And as soon as those words "have to" came out of my mouth, they sounded wrong. And this was 18 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday, because it was that moment when I said, wait a minute, I just used the wrong word. That doesn't describe at all how I feel. How I really feel is I get to. And that moment, that day, I remember it was a Thursday afternoon. I changed have to get to. I get to go home to my beautiful wife, to our beautiful home. I get to come to my office every day where I have an amazing team working together to help solve our clients' challenges in business. I get to do this or that. I get to do all the things I get to do. I don't have to. And I was a few months ago, my wife asked me to touch up some paint on a cabinet that we have. So I drug it out to the garage and, got my spray thing out and sprayed it, and it was all great and it looked amazing. I'm not a cabinet person, but I can do touch up stuff. And after we were done, I pulled the plastic and, oh man, this paint got all over the place. So now I have to get down on my hands and knees and scrub this stuff with the brush to get it off, because it's a beautiful floor out there in my garage. And as soon as I said that, I go, no, I don't have to. I get to get on my hands and knees and have a great workout. So I turned on some music and I got on my hands and knees, and for an hour or so scrubbed and got a great wax on, wax off workout. I turned a negative into a positive just by changing the word. I get to do this. So when I was all done, I was good. I was happy. I had a great workout. Didn't have to go to the gym that day, and my floor got clean.
And that is that shift in perspective, right?
100%.
Which
100%.
that's the other thing that I love about what's in this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that shift in whatever you're doing. I get to do it. I woke up. I have this opportunity, and how you take a look at that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
right, is
Mm-hmm.
changing that, and that has stuck in my head so much,
Cool.
and
I'm so
I
glad.
appreciate it.
I'm so glad. You know, I just had another example as you were talking. Changing a stinky baby diaper. Changing a stinky baby diaper. Do you really get to do that? But if you think about it,
Yes.
but if you think about it, what if that you didn't have that child? Do you know how many people would love to be in your position changing that stinky diaper because they can't have a child? Do you know how many
Yeah.
people would love to be in your position because the child's healthy? Chasing that kid around the living room, I have to. No, you get to, because that kid could not walk, or it could be injured or hurt, and you would wish for the days when you were changing that kid around. I still laugh when my son first learned to talk. He chattered all the time. We're like, do you always have to talk? But you know what? I'm glad he did. At the time, it didn't seem like it, but then later, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish that he was still around chatting, because now he's 23 and he's off in the world doing his thing, and we miss him. So yeah, it's a get to thing. So often we get to own the company that we own. You get to go to Fontes every day. You get to work with the amazing team. You get to talk to these clients, even when it's a challenge, whether it's a challenge or a complaint. You get to solve that for them and help them move forward on some aspect of their business. You get to do that. We get to do this podcast today.
Oh, exactly.
Hey, so
Damon, go
Joseph, I
ahead.
have a question for you. So, do you use this practice when you're opening up, maybe when you're having a discussion with a larger group of leaders, as far as just that mindset and the behavior change of get to? Because, I can't tell you how many meetings, executive meetings I went into where somebody said, I have to be in this meeting. I have to do
Mm-hmm.
this. And everybody come in, and the behavior's different when they come in. It's like, we're here to
Totally
solve a
different.
problem. And if you
Totally
come in
different.
with that, I have to, then you don't engage.
It's a totally different thing. I have to do this versus I get to do this, and it's such a subtle shift for most people. But it can be life changing. It can be life changing if you just say, the guys that say, I have to go home to the old lady tonight. Are you kidding me? Dude, you
Oh,
better change that up quick, because that is wrong for everybody. Okay. And you look at their wife, and she's not even old. She's young, beautiful, but they call her old lady because that's what their parents called their wives. And I don't get that, but I get to go home to my wife. I get to have dinner with her. I don't have to have dinner with my wife. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do if I don't want to. I get to do a lot of things. And there's some things that I enjoy doing more than others, for sure.
yeah.
But imagine this. You know, and Kim, you just had a recent health thing recently where you were pretty not mobile. Okay, you were in tough times.
Yeah.
I've been there. I tore my hamstring. I mean, tore my calf muscle playing pickleball. I tore it 3 times over a 3-week period, and the third time was not good. I was on crutches,
Oh,
and and I was so upset and disappointed that I couldn't just even walk. So now yeah, we all take things for granted. We do. We get comfortable, we get complacent, and we take things for granted. I mean, I can walk now, so I guess I take it for granted a little bit. But for almost 3 or 4 weeks, I couldn't walk. I
yeah.
was waiting, man. I can't wait to get back to doing this. I can't wait to feel better and be able to get up off the couch and not have to have my crutches there. So there's a lot of have to get to applications, and thank you for mentioning that, because it really is a powerful thing. It's so powerful if people can make that mind shift.
It really is. Mary Grace is, she says, I love that perspective. I get to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mary Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's true. And I say a lot of powerful things, things that I've said, others have said, that I repeat for them. this is one of the more powerful things that have ever come out of my mouth, because it's actually changing people's lives. It really is. You're not the only person, Kim, to tell me in the last 6 months that, wow, and I was talking about this, much like there's another word in a couple words in the book. We talk about complacency and comfort and how they're closely related.
Oh, yes.
And how we all want to be comfortable in our lives and our business, with our significant others, with our family, with our friends. We want to be comfortable. I mean, that's part of what we as humans enjoy. We like to be comfortable under the blanket and in front of the fire, just cozy, comfortable. The problem with comfort is it's very closely related to complacency. And I will illustrate it with this. Nothing good happens when you become complacent about your significant other. It's good to be comfortable, but nothing good's going to happen from becoming complacent. Nothing. Zero. Most of the time in our lives, nothing happens good when we become complacent about anything. Complacent about your health, complacent about your mental well-being, complacent about your leadership skills, complacent about your business, complacent about your family, complacent about anything in your life. When you become complacent, it usually starts to go the wrong way.
It does.
So you got to find that balance between complacent and comfort, because we want to be comfortable. We don't want to be complacent. So just be careful, be cognizant, be aware of the fact when you become too comfortable, complacency is right around the corner. And more marriages are unhappy today and break up because people became complacent. They don't do what they did when they were dating. Years go by and, whatever. I don't need to buy her flowers. I don't need to not do nice things. I don't need to open her door. I don't need to take better care of myself. I don't need to do any of that stuff because it's all good. We're comfortable. Then you become complacent, and we wonder why people slip away in their relationships. And it's the same in business. It's exactly the same in business. Do not take your people for granted and become complacent.
And it's because it's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's your relationships at home, as friendships, at work, our customers, it is all about what we do in this world, the legacy, right, that you talk about too, which I talk about. Damon talks about this legacy that we want to leave. We do that with our employees, with our customers.
All the time.
We leave that with them as well. We leave a piece. Oftentimes, I spend more time with my business and with our employees than we do sometimes with our own family.
It's an interesting question that I ask businesses often. So tell me, when was the last time and how did you do this? How did you tell your customers how much you appreciate them? Now, I know you guys do an amazing job at that, but many businesses go, when was the last time I told my customers that I love them? In whatever words you use. When was the last time I told my employees how much I appreciate them? Wow. Could that be taken for granted? Any more than how often do you tell your wife or your husband that you love them? I tell my wife I love her multiple times a day. My son, I reach up, he's 6'1", I reach up and I kiss him. I love you, man. And when he gets here and when he leaves and during the time, I'll walk by and I'll just touch his head and kiss him on the head. He's 23, but he knows I love him. My wife knows I love her because I say it all the time. And we as a family developed that culture where we do it all the time. Maybe walk by and my wife will blow me an air kiss. We've been married 34 years. She still blows me air kisses multiple times a day. Why? Because it's the culture that we set up here in our family. And it's got to be the same in business. You got to let your customers blow. When's the last time you blew your customer a kiss? In some other way, maybe, but you send them something, let them know, hey, just thinking of you, wanted you to know how much I appreciate you. Every time you do that, how often an order comes in? Happens all the time. I wasn't even thinking about it, but you reached out to me and said how much you appreciate me, or you sent me this little tidbit on something that might be important to me, and an order comes. Only because you opened the conduit of communication and you showed them you appreciate them, and they appreciate you back in a lot of different ways.
We have a team member, all of us as a team do it, but we have a team member specifically for that. And that has made all the difference.
A huge difference, especially as you came through the pandemic. You were telling me that was one of the things that you guys did. You, instead of contracting and waiting till everything passed, you reached out to your customers and started making sure that they know you're there and answering questions and being available for them. And all of a sudden, your business exploded in a whole different category than it was if you were just, continuing to do live events and sell promotional items.
And that's why we pivoted with this show, because we want to be even more inclusive, right? Bringing our customers on, providing more value, be providing industry leaders and things, because they can't get out to conferences and events like they used to.
Yeah.
So,
well,
all right.
It's an I get to moment. I get to still, even that, I own multiple companies now. I'm the president and or CEO of multiple different groups, and I still get to work with clients on a limited basis. So if any of your listeners are interested in having a talk with me about those things that we've been talking today, and leadership and building your teams and growing your business, I have a very limited amount of time available, but I would love to open some of that up to some of your clients. And we can talk about however that works, but they can reach out to me. I'm sure you'll ask me how that works. I think you're seeing my email address across the bottom there, jrosales at theperformancegroupaz.com. And on a limited scale, I'm available to work with people. But
And Joseph, thank you so much.
Thanks, Joseph.
I have to tell you, everyone, this is a big deal having Joseph on here. Like he said, he is a president of multiple businesses. Because he values time with his family, he has limited time. And so the fact that he is offering this to us is an honor for me. Being on here using his time has been a gift for us and for all of you. So I hope you take advantage of that. Just another, also, there is the Leader of You book. If you want to get this powerful book, theleaderofyou.com, reach out to them there. They can get that to you. Damon,
there's also a digital course. There's also a digital course, a 6-week digital course that's being developed now. It's probably another 30, 45 days from having availability, but people can look into that too. Because, the book is the beginning point. The digital course is the next step. And that's what helps people implement and execute more. So thank you.
That would be awesome. Damon, do you want to say anything before I close this out today?
No, just thank you, Joseph, for being here and for sharing that. I think leadership is something that definitely everybody needs to focus on. And so opening this up to our customers and to other listeners that are here, I think will make a big difference. So thank you.
Cool. And if you want, reach out to me online. Maybe we can put together a little deal so you can help your customers acquire the book through some sort of a gifting system or something we can talk about.
I'd love that. Oh, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Joseph.
My pleasure.
All right, everyone. Today, it was, how impactful was that, everyone? I would expect you found huge value in that. Go get his book. Reach out to Joseph. He's given us the opportunity for you to have some of his time. Very busy man. And he's got a course coming in a couple of weeks that, you can also take advantage of. I'm so honored and grateful to have this platform in which we can support business leaders, our customers, bring more value in the business community. So have a great day, everyone, and just keep leading and keep improving.